Great question. Thank you for also offering an interview today. Happy to share my story. So, how did I get where I am today? It was a different path. So, at the David Eccles School of Business, I did a major in both finance and information systems. And so, when I first went to the U, I was pretty sure that I wanted to go into investment banking. And so, I joined the Student Investment Club. And then there was actually a professor at the U who, for my undergrad, I took a IS class. And it always kind of liked computers. I liked technology analysis. And so that really started to pique my interest. And so then that's when I chose to do a major in information systems. But right out of college, I first went to Goldman Sachs and I joined their team. And I spent about 4.5 years there. At Goldman, they kind of put people into roles and you have no idea really like what department specifically you'll be in. But you try and like kind of find your place based upon your skill set. And so I quickly found myself in a skill set where started like very basic, started developing access to databases because they wouldn't allow us access to production on the technology side. So developed these access databases and actually grew them into programs that the company could use to become a lot more efficient. And so this was in their asset servicing division. Fast forward like 2 years later, they started developing this thing called strats, which later became known as data science. So we did kind of were the cornerstone of how analytics from an operational perspective took light at Goldman Sachs. So I spent about 4.5 years there and then quickly realized I wanted to progress my career more and towards hardcore analytics and data science and join a company where I could really move the needle. So then I found myself at a lease-to-own company called Crest Financial, and I got really heavy into data science. And of course, when I was at the U, data science wasn't a term that was used. And this is, back in 2011 when I graduated. Fast forward a few years, that starts to become like this term that's being thrown around a lot. And especially as companies start to gather more data, they need to do something with it. And so I became the data scientist at this lease-to-own company, Crest Financial, and I was in charge of developing and underwriting a credit risk underwriting model. I had never done data science before. I had never done hardcore statistics. And so I did a lot of online certifications, but used my foundational knowledge that I learned at the U in terms of database management, thinking about like relationships, thinking about how to use some of my strategic management courses. And so it was kind of where today they kind of call, a pure data scientist a unicorn. So it's somebody that has great knowledge in terms of subject matter expertise. A lot about statistics, and you also have a good understanding of being able to write code, call it Python, R, SQL. And so I kind of found myself in that position of where I had a very good grasp on all three of those. There was another person at the company that joined that was purely academic, that had a PhD in statistics, but they had not spent a lot of time on the business side. And they weren't able to connect the dots and really kind of march forward developing this algorithm that was really supposed to do what the company wanted it to do. And so I then found myself in this position where I was like, wow, I have a skill set of where I can really add value. So I spent a couple years at that company and then said, okay, I really want to drive like the full analytics architecture for a company. And I want to be able to move the needle because that's kind of been my career path. I want to build things and really change the evolution of a company to succeed. So then I moved on to a company called Womply, who's headquartered out of San Francisco. I'm currently their director of analytics and data science. And when I first joined that company, I just joined as an analytics manager. Quickly joined the company. They had done about 50 million in fundraising, and their main goal was to service small to medium-sized businesses. So this is a very different space, right? I went from banking to SaaS, which is a completely different type of business. And so that was a little bit of a challenge in with itself, but I quickly found myself with my skill set that I found in my other company to be able to shape their foundation. And I came in and I said, you don't have the right talent. You don't have the right structure. I've been here and seen this before at other companies. This is how we should be thinking about solving these problems. And so built the team up, got promoted pretty quickly to a senior manager, and then pretty quick after that got promoted to director of both analytics and data science. And so, yeah, that's kind of the story of how I got there. Obviously a different path going between banking and SaaS. And then, yeah, what incidents or experiences shaped my career path? I think I kind of talked through a couple of those in terms of just seeing a clear need for something where there's not a person or a team being able to fill that need. I think it was about me raising my hand to say, you need this, and not being afraid to like push back with my opinion. That has always been something throughout my career it's never comfortable, right, to dispute what kind of the status quo is and to be disruptive, and disruptive in a way that builds the company and propels it forward in the right direction, not disruptive from the aspect of causing chaos. And so I always had a very firm footing on where I stood and why I thought we needed to do certain things. And it was backed with research. It was backed with what we were going to do from a company perspective and how this would benefit the company and propel it forward. And so I think through some of those things, it just started to iterate, in that once I started to see that work and it actually did help the company and there was enough trust built up, that's ultimately like how there became a pretty quick progression to where I am today.